Hi, Bob.
Hey, Carol.
This is Bob Offer-Westort.
And that's Carol Harvey.
It really is. On the other side of this camera. The date is September
2nd.
You can tell we're in a coffee house and they're making lattes in the background. So, you know, that sound that you hear. Now I'm going to stop the camera.
Why stop the camera? Let the audience at home enjoy the whining of the steaming milk.
Because it's going to be... Okay. Latte time.
Occupational hazard.
Is it done yet?
Yeah.
People out there, we're in a coffee house, the latte thing is done, and Bob is going to tell us.
It's September 2nd, 2012. It's roughly 7:32 p.m. And we're at Javaholic's Coffee House at the corner of Balboa and 6th Avenue in San Francisco, California, United States of America.
And Bob is leaving, but he's not. Bob is leaving / but not. So what we want to do is tell folks what's happening about that and reassure the progressive community in San Francisco that Bob is not leaving. He's leaving, but he's not.
As Carol says, I'm leaving, but not. So I'm leaving the Coalition on Homelessness, but not staying in San Francisco. I'm running off to Sudan as quickly as possible to translate the ancient Meroitic language, which I think is probably the ancestor of modern Beja.
Aside from all of that nonsense, what's really happening, Bob? Here comes the latte again. Oh. Steam is being released, and while people out there in progressive land are wondering what the hell is really going on, and we just had hot chocolate, so we benefited from that screaming, steaming thing.
I'm leaving the movement, but not San Francisco. I'm going to stay in town and go to the sewers, where I will foment a mutant revolution.
What's really happening, Bob? We're working our way down through the levels of disinformation to the core.
I have no idea what's happening.
Oh, stop. What's the plan? Where are you going to go?
For the next 2 months, I'm working on the campaign against the sit-lie law in Berkeley. And then following that, I honestly have no idea what's coming next.
You're not giving up on this sit-lie thing. Why are you going to work on this sit-lie thing in Berkeley? Why, Bob? Why? You already put so much time into the sit-lie thing in San Francisco. Why are you pursuing this dream in Berkeley?
Pursuing this dream is not how I would put it. I'm working on the campaign against sit-lie in Berkeley for a couple of reasons, but probably foremost among them is that this has significance well beyond the city of Berkeley. Police will harass homeless people with or without a sit-lie law. But what happened in San Francisco, where a sit-lie law got passed by the electorate, was a huge moral failure in that it said that the people of San Francisco, at least as represented by the voters of the city, gave their endorsement to police harassment of homeless people on a regular basis. And I think it was a setback for poor people's movements, at least in the civil rights front, because it was such a huge moral failure. I think that if we're able to push things back in Berkeley, then it sets a precedent and it changes the tone in terms of the national struggle. So I think that the significance is potentially far larger than just that one law in that one city, that it can help us move things in a better direction nationally.
What's the direction you would like to see? What is the ultimate goal? This has to do with your original plan for your activism.
I don't have an original plan for my activism, just to be really clear, I don't. But what I do think is that I think that the kinds of positive social change we need to create economic justice in this country are blocked by the civil liberty struggles that we have in multiple ways. One is that the constant civil liberty struggles distract us from the real economic justice issues, one. And then two, the setbacks to poor people's civil liberties restrict the ability to which people are able to have enough stability to get involved in organizing and to fight against economic injustice. I think that what's needed on a national level and an international level is a poor people's movement. And I think that a win, like I think that we can have in Berkeley, would be a positive step. I want to be really clear that I don't think that winning in Berkeley would be the spark that sets off a national poor people's movement. I just think that it would be one small step in the right direction.
The thing that's missing in this country is the way poor people are seen and the way they're treated. And it's been a key issue for you in working at the Coalition on Homelessness. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
And we want to change the paradigm. We're working on changing that paradigm in taking big steps and little steps along the way.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes. And I want to be really clear that you, Carol Harvey, are interviewing me because we're personal friends and not because I'm not going to set off this movement or this revolution or anything. Like I'm one of jillions of organizers who will be necessary to make this sort of thing happen. So I sometimes feel weird in an interview like that. I just want to be clear that I don't think that this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, or you know the match set to the pile of tinder and kindling. I think it's one small piece among, you know, in the context of work that thousands of other people are doing.
That understood, but you know, I just want to say how much I respect all the work that you've done since you came to San Francisco about, 8 years ago? And you have a lot of friends and a lot of people who care about you, and there's some folks out there who don't know if you're going to leave or what's going on. So I just want to let people know Bob's here, and he ain't going anywhere.
But another thing is, if I did, and this is one of the things that we all should have learned from the Occupy movement, if I did disappear, that economic justice struggles would still continue and that they would still be strong and beautiful. I think that sometimes those of us who are engaged in formal organizing that's associated with, you know, legally recognized entities like 501c3 nonprofits or electoral campaigns, feel like the weight of the world is on us, like we have to make this stuff happen. And I think that one of the things we should have learned from Occupy was that we can't predict where change is going to come from, and that there are so many people in this country who, when the conditions are right, are ready to pick up the yoke and who are willing to do the work. And that way more important than what any of us, you know, professional organizers do on an individual level is our ability to spread organizing culture so that people don't have to make the same mistakes that we've been making for decades, but that they can learn from those mistakes the way that we're trying to. I don't think it's important if I individually disappear, and that people shouldn't be worried about what happens with any individual organizer, because there's so much amazing potential in our culture. And we trash talk our culture so often because ours is the culture which has had the power to do the most evil things in the history of humanity. But there's also so much beauty in our history of resistance, and that history continues in everyday people in this culture, and that at special times, like the Occupy movement that happened last summer, we really see that come to the fore in tens of thousands of people in this country who got involved in that kind of political organizing, who had never been involved before, but had that latent possibility in them. I still think that it's really important that we recognize that, and that we not think about particular individuals so much.
Okay, nobody's expecting you to drag the responsibility of all this around on your shoulders, Bob.
I know. You just said that people who were
promise.
worried about what would happen if I left, and what would happen would be exactly what happened if I stayed, is that amazing popular power would come when we least expect it.
And I have to say, I had one delightful conversation with you, Bob, in which you talked about, you know, the fantastic people that live in San Francisco. What a cool place it is, and how many cool people you met. And you're giving that love, we're giving that right back to you.
Rock.
Thank you, Bob Offer-Westort. He lives here. He lives in this hood.
I live like 5 minutes walk from here, yeah.
Yeah, and he ain't going nowhere.
I'm going to Sudan.
Well, he just came back from Egypt. We know that you're a traveler. A traveler through life with the rest of us. Okay, that's it. Now you guys know. So live with it, okay?
Who are all you people?
Well, I'm one of them over here. The unseen eye. Okay, thanks, Bob.
Deuces.
Yeah.